What's going on, everybody? My name's Steve Mendez. I'm the Now Gen pastor at Momentum Church.
And I'm Adam, the middle school youth pastor at Momentum Church.
And this is The Current, where we go over Pastor Tim's current message and some current events. Now, we're going to address I'm not going to say elephant, the gorilla in the room.
Yeah.
We'll say the gorilla in the room.
I'll take that. Fair enough.
This is not Tyler McNeely.
Definitely not Tyler.
It's not Tyler McNeely. This is Adam Simmons. He is our middle school pastor. And right now, Tyler is on a vacation with his amazing bride. They got some time away. And we figured it's a great chance for an upgrade. You know?
Well,
So
maybe.
So we no. Adam is not only my middle school pastor, he's one of my great friends, and I figured, man, if I had to sit and talk to somebody for an hour and it wasn't Tyler, I was gonna put somebody that I got good energy with in the seat.
Yeah,
so,
and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man,
the invitation.
Tell them a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself. Tell them how you ended up in this seat right here.
Oh, well, yeah, that's good. So, man, I'm originally from Alabama, which you could call this lower Alabama.
Yeah, this is basically Alabama.
About 2 hours up the road. So, graduated high school many moons ago and joined the military. And, funny side note right here, I guess I'm moving up, and jokes on my drill instructor when they said I'd never be anything, huh? Yeah, so
Hey, you made it.
Yeah, I made
You're
it.
something, man.
So I'm somebody now. So, man, I'm 45 years old, married to my beautiful wife, Brenda.
Who's one of our volunteers.
She is.
She's amazing.
One of the volunteers. Yep. She leads in middle school,
That's
high
right.
school, and for a better term, she is the best thing that ever happened to me. So we have 6 kids together. Our oldest is in the Air Force, and we have a grandbaby that's 4 years old, and I have a son that's Brandon, who's a deputy here. He's on RISC team in Navarre. And, we got 2 still at home, and actually our daughter's down here because she's still in Greenville, who they're having their spring break this week. So if I sound like I'm a little tired, I probably am. Been chaperoning.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? That's why we got these.
So this was what I brought in
Cheers,
this morning.
sir. Ugh. Yep, it's one of those days. But yeah, man, you got some amazing kids. I've gotten to know most of them at this point. Your youngest is one of my interns. He's my lead intern this semester. He's killing it. Your second youngest is super involved with our young adults.
Yep.
Volunteers in middle school. You got Brandon, who's over on RISC. Mary Ellen and Garrett live up in Greenville, but man, they've been to camps. They've been to events. I know both of them real well. It's just your oldest that I haven't really gotten to know yet because he's an adult.
Yep.
He's doing his own thing.
And he's been in the Air Force almost 10 years now.
That's right. Yeah.
But speaking of Mary Ellen,
Yeah.
Mary Ellen will be coming to camp again. She was at middle school camp last year in Big City, so she's going to be doing both this year.
Love
again.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I remember the first time I met you, I didn't know what to think because you were still a little bit of that, like, I got to dress a certain way for church thing.
Yes,
and I
very much
remember
so.
I met you, it was 101 in Pensacola, and I see army tattoos, big old beard, big guy, works out, and you were wearing these like pink shorts with like lobsters or pineapples on them or something, and a button-up shirt, and I was like, man, I don't really know how to take this right now.
My wife was trying to dress me at that time. So,
But alas, man, you came up 101. You're like, man, I want to get involved. And I don't know if you would have ever thought, but a year later, I'm over here like, bro, come on staff with me.
well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So, had a lot of church hurt, and I'm not going to say names or anything like that.
Probably
but
better that way.
I had some church hurt. And,
Jeff, Jeremy, Susan. He's talking. No, I'm just kidding.
So we came down, and it was funny. Our neighbor invited us to come to Momentum, and came in, and I saw the video that you guys recorded. That video, I Love My Church.
Yeah, the rap video.
The rap video.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Multi-platinum.
who is this?
recording
Man?
artist.
We had visited a couple other churches around here. Nothing wrong with them. We just hadn't felt the warm and fuzzies, I like to say. Saw you up there on video, and I was like, I remember telling Brenda, I was like, who is this guy? And then they said youth pastor. I was like, what? And he's got all them tattoos and stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is where I can be right here. And so she walked out in the parking lot. We're in the Breeze Cinema at the time.
Yeah.
We walked out, and she said, this is where God wants us to be. And at that time, she was the spiritual leader in our relationship, because I was just trying to find this Jesus thing everybody talked about, and grew up in church and stuff, but I can't remember, unfortunately and sad, I can't remember a message that was ever given.
Sure. Well, let's pause there for a second, man, because that might speak to somebody. That's such a thing when church is checking the box.
Yes.
And the relationship's not in it, right?
Yep.
When you're like, well, it's Sunday, I know what I have to do. I got to get dressed. I got to show up. I got to sit in the sermon. I got to shake the hands and kiss the babies.
Right.
But there's no relationship there, right?
No, none.
You're just spinning your
There's
wheels in the mud.
Yeah.
I was the same way. It was raised a little different. You were raised Baptist. I was raised Catholic. And man, they're great faiths and there's great churches and there's people in all those
100%.
churches that are amazing. For me, it didn't fit.
Right.
And I spent my whole life going to mass and saying this thing called the Nicene Creed or the Apostles' Creed, depending on, and it's this long prayer.
Yeah.
You got memorized, and you say it before the Eucharist every single mass. And I probably said it 1,000 times. And it was like 3 years ago, Mel and I were talking about my Catholic upbringing, and I spit that thing out, and I paused halfway through, and I was like, dude, that's the gospel. That prayer is the gospel from start to finish. And I said it 1,000,000 times and never knew it was the gospel because it was just word vomit. Because it wasn't a relationship. It was just bleh. Yeah. So, yeah, man, your whole life you're going to church. None of it's sticking.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
None of it's sticking.
It was all, Mama said we're going to church. We're going to church. Church on Wednesday, Sunday. Every time the doors were open, I was there. I was even in the choir just because that's where the girls were, right? You would not want me on worship team. Trust me. I promise you. I try to stay back away from everyone while I'm singing here because I don't have a great voice. But yeah.
Make a joyful noise. That's right. It's biblical.
All right. A side note. See, I got my slides on today. I just talked about that. That was one of my things. Like you had to dress a certain way to come to church. And I said once I accepted Jesus knowingly and started my relationship, I said, the one thing I will not do is ever give anybody the inclination you can't come to church because of the way you're dressed.
That's right.
And so I wear my slides all the time. They're my American flag slides.
Well, I keep my dogs out.
Of course, yeah.
I feel you.
That was another thing that when I saw, I was like, okay.
Yep.
And then the more I dig into the Bible, man, nowhere it tells me that I got to dress a certain way or any of those things. So it's kind of baffling.
That's right. A lot of people forget that Jesus was a homeless dude.
That's right.
By choice.
Right.
But he chose to be nomadic, to be homeless. When he washes people's feet, it's not that they were wearing Gucci loafers all day and he just slipped them out of their $1 million socks and cleaned their, no, they were barefoot. They were walking through the dirt. They were walking through the mud. He wasn't surrounding himself with a bunch of people in Armani suits.
No,
and
absolutely
it's easy
not.
to miss that because culture will tell you, oh, if you ain't wearing your 3-piece suit.
Yes, that religion.
That's right.
That legalistic religion stuff.
Yep. So anyway, man, you show up, you get plugged in, you start volunteering. Your wife's a spiritual leader. Pick it up from there.
So, yeah, that's a funny story. I actually told this story last night. It's amazing how I feel like the comfort that the Lord gives me to have a conversation with anybody at any given time.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to a bunch of teenagers last night about it, and I had one question in like, how do I believe? You know what I'm saying? I want to believe, but I don't believe. And the funny thing is, he didn't come into church yesterday, but he watched the video.
Nice.
At home
That's
from
a
our
step.
house.
That's a step.
And so I said, well, it's just exactly what Pastor Tim talked about, man. You can't argue my story.
That's right.
And so me and her, we met, and her tension point, my wife's tension point was, I want a faithful man.
Yeah.
And she didn't know that if we was gonna, she didn't know how it would play out, even if we would work.
Right.
She loved me, and she knew she was in love with me, and vice versa. But I still was. You speak that Holy Spirit and Jesus stuff. I'm like, all right,
Yep.
Tell me less,
Right?
Not tell me more.
No, I've been there. I get it.
We started going to church and back home, and to another church, Lifeline Church. Shameless plug out there back home in Greenville. Great group of people. And I was still just bringing youth because I was coaching.
Yeah.
So I still wasn't buying what everybody was selling. But my wife actually went to a conference, a women's conference one night. And me and Mary Ellen, the baby girl, were in the car, and the lady, she walks up while we're waiting on Brenda to come out. And she's like, she said, Adam, I just want to tell you something. The Lord told me that you're going to be ministering to youth one day. And I laughed at her. I was like, well, the Lord hasn't told me that. And she said, and without even breaking a smile or anything, she said, well, that's okay because he told me.
Yeah.
And she's a faithful leader back home. So I was like, I didn't think anything about it. And then we end up down here, and I come in and get plugged into high school, and I'm loving it. Of course, I love I love teenagers. And so I remember the night we were in a meeting and I was getting ready to head out of town somewhere. And you were like, hey, we want to, after a men's group with you guys. So you guys, of course, got to know me first. So they just didn't pick me up off the streets. And we ended up talking, and you asked me, do you want to lead in the middle school? And I laughed at you that night. And I remember your look. And I told this story. I was like, so he's like, bro, why are you laughing at me? Like, I didn't say anything funny. And so, here we are a couple of years later.
Yeah, man.
And we've really embraced it. And the Lord has shown us a lot. And man, through my wife, who was a spiritual leader,
right,
gave me the tools, and he used her for me.
Yeah.
And so now I get to step in that role and be the person that she can reach out to and turn to spiritually. She spoke a couple weeks ago to high school, then to middle school.
Yeah.
And her thing, she was like, hey, it felt so good for her to be reading her message and being like, tell me what you think, you know? And I'm like, wow, I've made it to this point, with the Lord's help. So
good, man.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
Good. Man, I'm blessed to have you. I mean, I think we make a heck of a team.
Yeah, we do. Of course.
Some big kingdom impact. It's all God. Facts.
Right, absolutely.
It's all God. God through us, but you chose a pretty good team.
So
yeah,
he did. That's
pretty excited.
That's right.
So, man, before we get into Pastor Tim's latest message, we always do this, talk about our week, talk about our weekend. So you got a crazy weekend going on right now.
Yes, it is wild.
So you got a couple kids that are still in school, one of which, Mary Ellen, you were saying up in Greenville, and it's their spring break.
Yes.
So all of them migrate down here.
Down here all the time.
So how many teenagers are you currently in charge of
So there's 22 at a house in Navarre. And there's probably 9 or 10 at the house.
Yeah.
Because they're all from the same schools and the same group.
Right.
But we won't let them stay over at the senior house. So a couple of them are boyfriend and girlfriends.
Right.
So, of course, got those split up. And, so I was telling you a while ago, I had to silence my phone because I got a doorbell alert. And if it's went off one time, it's went off 700 times in the last 2 days.
So you getting a lot of sleep right now?
No. Yeah. What is that? What is sleep?
Yeah, man. Well, I'm in the sleepy bear boat too. My lovely wife, I was about to say decided. She didn't decide. It's not her choice.
Choose.
Came down with a stomach bug and love her to death.
Yep.
But something about that noise, it's hard to sleep through.
I can't imagine.
So a little low on sleep as well. But hey, I get to show up for her. Get to love on her. Right. So it's all right. At least I got someone to take care of.
That's right. And Mel is great.
That's right. It's one of those moments. But it was a great weekend, man. We all got to eat dinner together Friday night at my parents' house.
Yes.
That was super fun. My parents moved down here 3 months ago.
Yep.
And all these fine men and ladies at this church helped with the trucks and the unpacking and into a storage unit and then out of a storage unit into the house. So my mama, old school Jersey Italian, put on a big old dinner for everybody and their plus one. Everybody in the room was there.
Yep.
All the sports staff, but 16 people, big old Italian meal.
It was great.
And
it was good food.
My dad was laughing last night. He was over for dinner. He's like, we cooked for 30, 16 came. We didn't have many leftovers.
Right.
Well, you picked the right group.
Man, I ate
the
so
right
much. Because I think that's the first time I've ever had anybody really cook authentic Italian.
Yeah.
And so it was good. Yeah.
Yeah. When a grandma from New Jersey says she's putting on a pot of sauce.
Yeah.
Or hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on for dear life.
It was good, man. I love the hospitality and the love of your mom and dad. They're just cool people, man. We were on the way home, and I was telling my wife, I was like, man, I love Steve's parents, man. They're good
great
people. And I'm not saying that because you're sitting up here.
No, they are. Mom, Dad, appreciate you.
Yep.
Y'all did it right. That's why I turned out half as good as I did.
That's right.
But it's just one of those things, man. Spiritual gifts, everybody has them. Right. Whether you use them or not, everybody's born with spiritual gifts. And it's easy to look at spiritual gifts like pastor.
Yes.
Prophet. And you're like, oh. Bro, hospitality is a spiritual gift. And my mom's, she hasn't taken the spiritual gifts test. It's a great test if you've never taken a spiritual gifts test. I guarantee hospitality is her number one or number two.
Oh, for sure.
Because if she could open her door every day and entertain people, she would, and she would never get tired of it. Yeah. Like, that's just her thing. Yes. Me, I like having people over, but when it's time to leave, like,
that's funny you said
get
that.
out.
That is Brenda. Brenda loves everybody. She loves the house full.
But get out.
And I'm like, all right, it's time to shut everything down, man. So I guess the age has caught up with me, and I'm like, I don't want to I don't want to stay up to 2:00 in the morning anymore.
Yeah, my mom's just built to entertain. My whole life, holidays, both sides of the family coming over. It's just who she is, man. And it's funny because she'll complain in like the spool up to it. Like, oh, I gotta clean. Oh, I gotta cook. But you just see the joy on her the whole time when everyone's there. She'll just do that thing where she like stands back and just looks.
Just reaping.
Yeah, just everybody.
Soaking and letting it soak in.
All the relationships, all the conversations, all the love that's happening because she got to host.
Right.
And she's just full,
And
man.
that's what it's about, man.
That's right. That's it, man. And that's a great segue to talk about Pastor Tim's message this week.
Yes.
Right? So let's go fishing. Going fishing. It's this whole series about fishing. 2 weeks ago, I guess 3 weeks ago now, he talked about fish on.
Yep.
And 2 weeks ago, he talked about the hook, and he had that big old hook and that big old spool. And then last week, he talked about the bait. We're talking about the bait and the line and the cast. And down here, we live on the Gulf Coast. Most people fish.
Yes.
I'm not a fisherman. It's
I'm
not my
either.
thing.
I would love to do it. I just can't catch anything.
It's not my thing. But any day you go to the beach, there's fishermen.
Yes.
Any day you go in the water, there's boats out.
Right.
It's a big, big community. And, we're called to be fishers of men.
Right.
So it's the perfect parallel. It's the perfect spring break. People are down
Yeah.
here talking about fishing. I love it. So what was your big takeaways, man? What were your high points from Pastor Tim's message this week?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
You got some notes?
Of course
My
I
man.
take notes.
My man.
My memory is not what it used to be.
That's right.
So I have to take those notes. So, man, the first thing I took from it was fishing is messy.
It gets messy.
It does get messy.
It gets messy. That's
and
right.
it gets where it's hard. It's challenging. People challenge you, and sometimes you don't know what to say, and then you're trying to rely on your own self.
That's right.
And not allowing God and the Holy Spirit to speak.
Yep.
And so to me, that was the first major thing I took away from that. So what good is your bag and all the tools if you don't have the bait?
That's right. You could have the best line,
Yeah.
the best reel, the best hook, the best boat.
Yep.
Don't matter. If you don't got bait,
The guys at the house on spring break were actually talking about that. They were like, which baits for this, which baits for that. So it's a science, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is somewhat of a science. You got to have the right bait, which is being equipped biblically, and just let the Holy Spirit fill you, man. And
I love the way, right, he said the hook is the gospel.
Yep.
It never changes. The hook is the hook is the hook is the hook. The hook's the gospel. The line is your faith.
Yep.
And your mouth, your testimony, your words are the ability to cast that. And you want to cast it far and you
away.
want to cast it often and you want to send it out there. But if there ain't no bait,
Yep.
and the bait was your story, right?
Yes.
The bait was because it's right in Revelation. What defeats the enemy? It's the blood of the Lamb and the power of your testimony.
Yep.
It doesn't say the blood of the Lamb and how good you dress. It doesn't say the
Right.
blood of the Lamb and how often you go to church. It says blood of the Lamb and the power of your testimony.
That's right.
You can argue theology with me all day.
Yeah.
You can argue apologetics with me all day. You can argue science with me all day.
Yep.
We can go into a tailspin and I can say young earth and evolution and creationism and Big Bang, and we can just go.
Yeah.
Because it's all theory,
Right.
right? I have faith in this and you have faith in that, and none of us can point to a specific, like, the
Right.
solution to everything without faith. It takes faith.
Right.
But you can't tell me my testimony is wrong.
Right. Exactly.
You can't refute that.
Yeah.
You can't say, no, that didn't happen.
Right.
Yes, it did.
I know it did because I
I lived
experienced
it.
it.
I lived it. That is my testimony. And the longer you walk with Jesus, the longer you have faith, the longer you stay under his weight, the more testimony builds.
Yes.
The more coincidences that can't be coincidences, the more that timing makes too much sense. That blessing came at the perfect time. What I thought was bad for me ended up being the best thing for me.
Yes.
And from the 30,000 foot view, you look at your life and you're like, of course there's God.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah. What else can it be?
What else could it be?
I just had that. That was part of my
Yeah.
conversation last night. I
Yep.
said, hey, I can give you this one instant
Yep.
of who I was, what happened, and who I am now.
That's right.
But there's a whole bunch more.
Yeah.
Prayed for a lot of smaller things. And that was a big ask for me.
Yeah.
When I prayed for the Lord to send me a woman that would love me the way I love her.
Right.
I just didn't know he was going to send me a spiritual one that was going to lead the way for me.
Yeah.
And but those, they're not arguable. I can't argue those with you, and you can't argue mine.
Nope. All right. What else? What else you got in your amazing notes?
Yeah. So the I really liked how the analogy was when he was talking about, oh man, scratch my face with this mic in my face. So I really liked the analogy of him when he discussed how God doesn't punish. You know, when they saw the blind man, they thought that automatically, who sinned? One of the disciples said, who sinned? The parents or him? And Jesus was like, nobody sinned.
Right.
You know, but we're going to use what had happened to show that God is real.
Right.
So for me, that analogy was great. That bad things just happen to people, man.
Yep.
It is, you know, from sin. So
you want to talk about one of the hardest questions to answer, and one of the hardest questions that we get asked as believers: why do bad things happen to good people?
I've been battling that, working on that with Therese, our young adults
Such a
leader,
tough one, man.
Studying that. We've talked about it. Yes.
Yep. Why do bad things happen? Because the story that you're referencing is the scripture that Pastor Tim used this last week, was about the blind man.
Yep.
By Siloam. And he can't see, and Jesus takes some dirt and he spits in it and he makes mud and he rubs it on his eyes and tells him to go wash it in the waters of Siloam. And then he's healed and he can see. And you have the skeptics that are like, man, that's not the blind man. It just looks like him.
Right.
That's not him. That can't be him. And then they even go to the parents.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, who is this guy? And they ask him, well, who healed you? And the big point that Pastor Tim makes is he doesn't just say, oh, Jesus healed me.
Right.
He says, the man that y'all call Jesus. The
Right.
one that you call Jesus. All I know is I was blind.
Right. And now I can see.
And now I can see. I can't fill in the gaps because it's beyond my understanding.
Right.
I can't sit here and tell you how it worked.
Right.
I can tell you that there was this man that y'all call Jesus. Mm-hmm. I was blind, and now I see. Who can refute that testimony?
Yeah.
Nobody. That's what we were just talking about.
Even the parents were like, this is our child.
Yeah.
And he was blind, but you're going to have, for fear, they even said, hey, you're going to have to ask him that.
That's right. And that whole, why do bad things happen to good people? Yeah. Number one, it's a fallen world.
Yes.
And that's the hard part to stomach is like our choices, our sin, our transgressions made the world what it is. Yeah. When sin entered, a lot of bad things happened. But what we know is that scripture says God could take what the enemy meant for evil and use it for good.
Yeah.
That his ways are greater than our ways.
Right.
That it's not up to our understanding. Because when it says all things work together for good, it doesn't mean your good, my good, our present good, what feels good. It means for God's glory.
Right.
So he was blind. That's not good.
Right.
Being blind is not a blessing.
Not in this, especially not in that time.
But you can pull a blessing out of it. And for God's glory, a whole group of people got to see the power of Jesus and him get healed on the spot. Mm-hmm. And that's the good.
Yeah.
Because now everybody points back to God, to the glory of God. Yeah. So, no, being blind is awful. I can't think of a world where you'd be like, oh, praise Jesus, I'm blind.
Right.
But through that bad, it worked together for good, for God's glory.
Right.
No weapon formed against will prosper. Mm-hmm. He was able to take something that was awful and highlight the glory that is the Father.
Yeah.
Through
use it as a tool.
Yeah.
So I love that analogy, man. It was a great way to basically bring in the point to the to the story.
And you know, we've seen that lived out just in our ministry, in our student ministry. You have adults who lost parents at young ages. Nothing good about that.
Right.
Nothing good about your parents passing away when you're 20, when you're 30.
Yeah.
That's not easy. It's not something that's easy to deal with. But what we see now is that they're the most equipped to minister to students who are going through terminally ill parents or losing parents at a young age in a way that I can't. My parents are still around. Yeah. I can empathize with what you're going through.
Right.
But I don't know. I could say my heart breaks for you, but I can't say I've been there. Yeah. And we have these leaders who have walked through some mud, and God's taken that bad and say, but let me use it for God's glory, because now you can show up for this student in a way that the youth pastor can't.
And this is the whole conversation where it stemmed from.
Yeah.
The person I was having the conversation with last night lost his father a couple years ago.
It's tough.
And he just graduated. He's actually in college right now.
Yeah.
And his question is why? Why?
Yep.
You know, and those are questions I can't answer.
Right.
You know?
And I don't know is an answer sometimes.
Yeah.
You may never understand on this side of heaven why. But one day.
That's right.
You'll look and go, okay.
And so I challenged him. I was like, man, look, this is what I want you to do. Because he's right there. Pastor Tim has used this analogy many a times in our staff meetings. The yardstick.
Yep. 36 inches of faith, right?
Somebody could be at 1, somebody could be at 35.
Yep.
We don't know. And he's somewhere in there. And I believe just by our conversation that he's way on that higher number side.
Sure.
So I just challenged him. I was like, man, asked him, has he ever prayed before? And he's like, yeah. And I said, but have you ever prayed and believed?
Yeah,
because if you don't pray with belief,
that's right. It's just words.
Falls on deaf ears.
It's just words.
So I challenged him. I said, man, just hit Matthew right now. Just start off Matthew.
Yeah.
If you hadn't read a lot of the Bible, start in the New Testament. And then I want to challenge you to pray.
Yeah.
And ask God to give you some answers.
That's good.
And I said, this is how much I believe in the God that has shown me. We can revisit this conversation months down the road, and I know that he's going to tell you something.
Yeah.
He's going to give you some type of answer. Right. I don't know what it'll be. I don't. Yeah. And it's not for me to know, but he will. And you're going to come back to me and you're going to be like, you know what? Thank you.
That's right.
You were right.
Yeah.
That's how much faith I have in the God, in our God.
Yeah. So. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that, man. And then my last gut check from this message is he's talking about your bait.
Yeah.
Your story, your testimony. But nobody cares if you're not living in a way that glorifies Christ. You know what I mean? If I say oh, I believe in Jesus, I'm saved, but then I spit on a homeless guy and I kick a dog and I flip the bird to everybody I walk by, who cares about my story? Who cares about my testimony? Right. I'm not living a life that's glorifying to God. And there is scripture in the Bible, faith without works is dead, that gets twisted to make it seem like you have to earn your salvation. Right. That it's a works-based religion, which
is false.
Is false.
Yeah.
It's made abundantly clear multiple times that calling on the name of Jesus, believing he's your Lord and Savior, that's it. Right. Just understand.
And we fell back on that a lot last night sitting at this table. I said, man, Romans, we can go to Romans right here.
The only unforgivable sin is blaspheming the Holy Spirit because it's denying what Jesus did for us. Right. That's it. That's the only unforgivable sin. You don't need works to save you. But that whole passage is saying that my faith to you without my works as a Christian is dead. Right. I.e., if I don't look like a Christian to you, why would you care?
Exactly.
What my bait is. If I don't live a life glorifying to Christ, my bait's staying in a jar.
Yeah.
I don't have the line. I'm not casting the hook.
And you're not going to catch anything.
I'm not going to catch anything. Yep. I got the bait and it's on a shelf in my garage. Yep. So what good is that? So that was there's a fly in front of me. It's the devil trying to distract me, man. Right. Steal, kill, and destroy. But so you got anything else from Pastor Tim's message you took away from this one?
Let me see. I did have one more thing on here.
Yeah. Lay it out there.
Even a child is known by their actions.
That's good.
So just piggybacking on what you were just talking about now. Yeah, even a child is known by their actions. So we are known by our actions, what we do, just what you just said.
That's right.
So,
and if you're a child of God,
then your actions should be of
that's right.
God-like.
That's right.
Does that mean we're going to be perfect? No.
Oh, bro, I messed up 15 times before I got out of bed this morning.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm not ignorant. I know I'm missing the mark.
Right.
But it's a big word called sanctification, which just breaks down to I'm trying to draw myself closer and closer to a life like Jesus every day. And I'll never get there.
Right.
Because the perfect standard is perfect for a reason. But why not shoot for perfection and land on excellence?
Yeah.
Right? It's the same with sports.
Yeah, that's good.
You're a coach. I was a coach. We both played sports. I'll never be perfect.
Right.
But if I shoot for perfect, I'll land on excellent.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And I heard a coach say one time, strive to get 1% better every day.
That's right. Yep.
And so even in our walk, in my walk with faith, that's what I try to do, man. I try to get 1% better each and every day.
Yeah.
And if I can get 1% better, then I'm moving in the direction at least.
That's it. So. That's a good message. I love this series. I know it's not going to go on forever, but I think it's right on time, right on target. We're leading up to Easter.
Yeah.
Easter is one of those holidays that Christian, not Christian, most people go to church on Easter.
Of course.
Christmas and Easter.
Christmas and Easter, yeah.
And being able to equip the body of Christ at Momentum Church to go fish in a moment when their pond is about to explode.
Right.
What a great move for the glory of Jesus.
Yeah,
right?
It is, man. And it's got me thinking about Easter and Christmas and at the Sanger. Just love the environment, man. Middle school, we sit in big gathering on those days, so I don't have a lot to do, but I make my hands.
Hey, we're still on staff.
Yeah, they work.
We got plenty to do.
So I help kids or whatever is needed out of me that day, but it's just good to be able to sit back and watch the people come in and connect.
That's it.
And not have the stress of dealing with a ministry per se that day and just connect with everyone.
You just get to
And
love
that's
people.
what I love doing.
You just get to love people.
Yeah, my wife tells me I talk too much. I probably do. So,
Man, you should be a pastor.
yeah. I'll look into that.
Oh,
we get to
man.
going and she's like, all right, babe, be quiet. I was like, well, they want to talk.
Yeah.
So I want to talk. Let's talk.
What you do is you say, well, first of all, submit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Don't do that. That's bad. There's more to that verse. There's a lot more to that verse.
You go
don't do
check
that.
Steve's message out on that.
I can't post it. Somebody hit the camera and somebody didn't catch it, so the camera isn't on the stage the whole time.
Stop it.
I'm not kidding.
Well, then you had to have been there.
That
then.
is a message lost to time because somebody whose name rhymes with Smatrick walked into the camera and nobody caught it in time.
Wow.
So the camera is not pointed at the stage.
It was good. But anyway, it was real quick. I will highlight on that. It was talking about the submission and how we twist scriptures to sound how we want it.
Yep.
And then Mel is like really thinks that she's up here and just getting
Roasted.
Biblically right.
roasted.
You can see her face. And I was like, man, Steve, if you don't hurry up and hit the point on this one, bro, you're in trouble. She might get up and walk out. And then end of it, man, he washes her feet on stage.
That's right.
Or you washed her feet on stage.
Wash her feet.
Because I'm talking in third person right
Yeah,
now.
but love her like Jesus loved the church.
And it was good. It was so good. And
Yep. It's that idea. The world will tell you leadership is standing over somebody.
Yeah.
And Jesus tells you leadership is being a servant first.
Yes.
And that's where we miss it.
Yeah.
Because submission and slavery aren't the same word.
Right.
I can make someone a slave. Someone has to choose to submit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot to that. Don't put your hand up and yell submit at your wife. It doesn't go over well.
Would
Don't
not do that.
cut that.
Look,
do that.
She rode with
that.
that one just because we were at a youth event.
Oh, she would have slapped me if we were at my house.
But you can see it. Like, she's like, okay, when are you? What's the point of this? Because this ain't cool.
Yeah.
So it was so good though. And then the ending, the grand finale, man, it was great just to sit there and watch you wash your feet on stage, man, and just show these guys that were in here that night of what a true man, how to honor biblical relationship and marriage.
And it's such a foil because, like, I'm not a little person. I know how I can come across, especially when I don't check my face, which is something I've had to learn to do.
Oh man,
you know, because
how many times have I gotten in trouble for that?
Right, and it's not like I'm not scowling all the time. I'm not looking through my eyebrows. But if I'm just lost in thought, or my default is I'm a 6'3", 240-pound guy who sits
and you look mean. Yeah,
check my face.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Mel is the sweetest, petite little child female in the world.
Always smiling.
Always happy, always smiling. And it's easy to look at that and not understand the power dynamic. But if you've ever been in a house with a Chihuahua and a Pit Bull, you know which one of those dogs runs the house.
We have a Chihuahua.
Yeah, right. The big dog does not run the house.
No, absolutely not.
At all. And it's refreshing to be able to speak into the hearts of young men before they get to the point of that relationship. Like, hey, honor and respect her like Jesus loved the church, and Jesus went to the cross for the church.
Yeah.
So are you willing to go to the cross for your wife? And to see that realization on their face, like, oh, dang.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh, dang.
Even hit it home with the leaders, man.
It's good,
man. The male leaders in there, because we had those conversations.
We're all still learning. None of us are perfect husbands.
No,
We're all
definitely
still learning.
am not.
So it's good, but it's good to admit it, because admitting you're not perfect is the first step on being better.
Yeah.
Because when you think you got it all figured out, the enemy's getting his crosshairs trained right on the back of your head and going, yeah, you're good. You're perfect.
Okay. Yeah. You thought.
Yeah. Oh, you thought.
Yeah.
Oh, you thought.
I'm pretty sure I've made mine angry in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, me too. It's all right. She tells me I joke around too long. That's my
too long.
Yeah, I'll start a joke. She's like, "Oh, it's funny." I'll keep going. She's like, "It's funny," and I'll keep going. She's like, "All right, dude, come on, it's not funny."
I got
anymore.
a buddy. He says, "Over with, over with."
Yeah. Sorry, Mel. I love you. As you're home sick, taking care of the children.
Yes.
Yeah, man. So that's Pastor Tim's message. It was a great message.
Yeah.
Great takeaways.
Part 2's next week.
Yeah, that's right. Because he cut the message in half.
Cut it in half.
He left the hook in the water.
Yes.
Right. And
now he's doing what he said you have to do. Be patient.
That's right.
Which
be
is
patient.
hard.
Yep.
Patience is hard.
I'm sure you got this in your life too, but There's people I've been working on for 5 years, just trying to get them to come to church, just try to get them in a church. But I love them enough to not give up.
That's right.
To be patient, to keep trying. Because the second I say, forget it, screw it, I'm done wasting my time, what I'm really saying is I don't love you enough to care about your eternity.
Right.
I never want to get to that place with somebody that I say I care about, I say I love, where I'm like, you know what, man? I don't care about your eternity. Of course I do.
Right.
If I truly believe there's a heaven and truly believe there's a hell and truly believe that my actions on this earth affect whether the people I care about go to one or the other,
Right.
what am I doing?
Right.
What am I doing? And there's, I think Tyler might even talked about this on one of these shows, but there is an atheist. It's either Penn or Teller, the two magicians. And he's on a talk show and he's saying how much he respects truly faithful Christians and how much he doesn't respect people that don't spread the gospel.
Yeah.
Because if you truly believe, if you are a Christian who truly believes in heaven and hell and truly believes in salvation, and you're not doing everything you can to bring the people you love across the line of faith, you lost his respect, whether he believes it or not.
Right.
Because you believe it.
Right.
You believe hell's a real place.
Then you should live that way.
100%. 100%.
That was funny. I watched a TikTok yesterday, and it was talking about not judging a book by its cover and spreading the gospel. And this pastor gets up and talks about it. He goes into his barber. You might have seen it. His barber was out. So this other young lady was there, and she walks out, and she's got spiked hair. He said she's probably got 100 piercings in her body. And the only thing he thought about now is, man, let me go to sleep. As a Christian, and he was ashamed of this, but he was talking about, hey, all I want to do is just get it over with and get out of there. And they start having a conversation, and her family had been drug addicts. And they had actually went to this place, the evangelist place that he's part of, to get some materials and stuff. And she starts talking about wanting to learn more about God in here and starts bawling. Everybody stops cutting hair. And he leads with, I'm sorry. I have to apologize to you because I had already judged you before I ever. And he's a pastor.
That's right.
And so he stopped, started talking to her, and he actually set up to go get her more materials and going to do Bible study with her.
I love that, man. That's good.
You know, and she's everything of what he didn't want to be a part of.
Right.
In the religion aspect.
Right.
Because if, people are different, they walk into church. That's one of the things I love about Momentum, man. That it does not matter who you walk in.
That's right.
Who walks in, it's genuine love.
Yep. Yep.
And that's one of the things that has made me feel at home. I'm a volunteer.
Yeah. 100%.
I come up here and do this 100% volunteer. And that's not a pat on my back, but that's how much I believe in this church. I believe enough to put in the sweat equity.
Yes, sir.
And I just love getting to connect with people, man. And I have connected with so many people, me and my wife. Like our whole circle is people that go to the church now that we wouldn't have met had we not come to church. So it is a community, and I just love that. So sorry I got sidetracked
that's good,
on that,
man.
but that was...
I actually had a crazy cosmic collision yesterday after church. Not as crazy as his in the barbershop. But after church yesterday, I went to Publix, give me a little pub sub. Your boy was hungry, and I didn't want to wait to get home and then cook lunch. Because we got out probably like 12:15, 12:30 yesterday. John, about 12:30-ish. And I was like, man, I got to pick up steaks for dinner because my family's coming over. And I ain't trying to wait until I get home and eat lunch at like 1:30. Right. So my plan was to get a pub sub and eat it as I grocery shopped, as I walked through the aisles. And I did. I was walking through the aisles eating whatever. But I'm up at the sub counter in Publix, and I'm ordering. I'm wearing my ODA green I Love My Church shirt. One of my favorite shirts. And the gentleman walks over, his wife, and they're probably, I put him between 50 and 60. He's like, hey, man, anyone ever tell you look like Tim Tebow? And I was like, literally every day of my life. Every day of my life. Especially when I get the beard going, I was like, it's even funnier because I happen to be a pastor, so there's a lot of shots of me on stage preaching, and it's a running joke. My wife makes that joke all the time. And we start talking, I give him an invite card, and he's like, oh, we're actually just visiting on vacation for a week. I said, well, if you're ever back, man, come see us. He's like, well, we're from San Antonio. I was like, San Antonio, you ever heard of Revolution Church? He's like, that's where we go to church. I was like, so you know Pastor Zach White? He's like, yeah, I know Pastor Zach White. I was like, cool.
Small
Him and
world.
my pastor are like best friends.
Yeah, right.
Said he came and guest preaches here like 2-3 times a year.
Yeah.
And I bet you know my pastor. He's like, who's your pastor? I said, Pastor Tim Payne. They're like, yeah, he comes and speaks at our church. I was like, that's what I just said. I know. But it's just one of those, I'm in a Publix in Navarre, run into somebody from San Antonio that goes to Pastor Zach White's church, who I talk to online all the time about gym stuff.
Right.
He's no stranger to Momentum Church. I got his pennant hanging in my office. The Pastor Zach White, what is it? Lift every day or move every day. Move every day pennant hanging in my office. And now I'm talking to some guy who goes to his church.
Yeah.
And it's one of those God winks.
Yes.
It's one of those things, just like I talked about on the show after my vacation with Mel. I went to a waterfall and ran to a youth pastor who followed our Instagram. It's just those things that remind you there's no coincidences, man.
Yeah, no, there isn't.
And I'm alone at Navarre this week. Me and John are the only full-time staff members there. Tyler and Deidre are on vacation. Steph is in Pensacola loving her husband and being present as a pastor's wife and the executive pastor in Pensacola. We're burning. Yeah. We're burning it to make it work this Sunday, which is fine because there's seasons of stretch, there's seasons of sprint, there's seasons of rest. Yeah. But when I got to Publix at 12:30 after church, I was ready to drop the pack.
He was ready to go.
It's like, leave me alone.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
Just let me be great today.
And then God's like, but hey, your job's not done, man.
That's right.
Because church ain't from 7 a.m. to 12:30 on a Sunday. So be present. And it was a gut check.
Yes.
Where I was like, man, imagine if he walked up and was like, man, did you ever want to tell you look like Tim Tebow? Yeah, man, thanks.
Yeah.
And just went about my business. You know, that might have affected something.
Yeah,
that might have been a problem.
Reverts back to what you were talking about with Pastor Tim's message.
Yep.
A few minutes ago.
That's it. So be patient, be present. Yep. Always put the hook in the water. Always be able to cast. And God shows up and reminds you.
Yeah.
And if you start moving in the wrong direction, God smacks you back in the right direction.
And you know, side note, shameless plug while we're doing that, you're talking about being shorthanded, man. And I just I want to use a second to talk about my baby boy, man.
Yeah. He's killing it.
I got a text from John yesterday, I think it was right after church, and we're sitting here and he's like, Dad, I got to run Pro P today. I don't even know what Pro P is. I know it's got something to do with
the lyrics and the slides.
Yeah, I know it's got something to do with the video.
It's like PowerPoint 2.0,
okay,
I think.
All right.
Right?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I don't know. When I get ready to use something, I just say, hey, John, Connor, this is what I need to do, bro.
Yeah.
Take care of it for me. Hook me up. And so he was bragging about it, you know, and which he should have been.
Yep.
And he texts, and I got a text from John, and I was like, just complimenting on him just jumping in, man. And he's just got the biggest servant's heart that you could imagine, you know. And I like to always say that he's all the good things, the qualities that I feel like I've been blessed with, but none of the bads.
Gabe's killing it, man.
And he's on fire, man. And he was actually there witnessing that conversation last night.
That's good.
And so I was talking about getting Matthew, and Gabe's like, oh yeah, man, Matthew's a trip now. He's crazy. Let's go. So just the thought of him had already read that to be able to comment like that.
Yeah. But
he sits up in his chair and he rolls his hair back, throws his hair back real quick, and he's engaged now. So it's good, man. I prayed for that. I prayed for to be able to spiritually lead my kids, something I never did. My oldest two, I never exposed them to that type of stuff. So it's great for.
And I've gotten to watch Gabe's journey.
Yes.
You know,
from
since
start to
since he came to this church, he was somebody who was on the fence when he got here.
Yes.
Who didn't know if he believed. Oh. Very analytical.
With
very
the science.
Smart.
Yeah.
Very
science.
You know?
He's so smart, man.
He never stopped inviting.
Nope.
He never stopped bringing people, even when he was like, I don't know if I believe this. And now to see him on the side of it where he's evangelizing, where he's talking faith into people, where he's being the example of the hands and feet of Jesus, you just sit back and you're like, explain it.
Yeah. Once
Explain
again,
it, right? Explain
one of them God moments, like.
And the God wink for John and our production team yesterday, he's supposed to have a team of 4. One calls out sick, and one might have never seen the serve request. So he has 2 people to run all the production yesterday. And then Cross Esposito comes up and he's like, hey man, I'm just hanging out. Could I help?
Oh, sure. Less.
And then Gabe's like, I want to learn something new.
Right.
What's this Pro P thing? Tell me more. And now John's in the hallway with me talking about how great the day is. And he's like, bro, I don't got to do nothing. I got more volunteers than I know what to do with right now. And it was a day where at the start of it, he was looking down the barrel of a shotgun like, bro, I don't know how I'm going to make today work. And God was just like, well, here you go.
Don't worry about how you're going to do it. God's got it.
You're not going to do it.
That's right.
That's the secret, right? Where there's less of you, there's more of me. So stop trying.
Yeah.
Not stop till you still got to do things. You still got to try. You can't just lay there. You got to do more than that.
But
yeah, that's it. That was rally. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my rally prayer was, because I led rally, God, bring us to a place where there's less of us and more of you.
Yeah.
Let us know we can't, it's not our charisma, it's not our personality, it's none of that. God, you can use our gifts, but let us remember that it's none of us, it's all of you. And then John gets out the way, and all these people show up. I get out the way, all these people show. It's amazing, man. Every time. Every time.
It is. It's been such a blessing. I don't know. I know you guys know, but not everybody knows. We just got a new environment in Pensacola.
Yeah, got a new place.
It was a blast, man.
Yeah, it worked out?
It was great.
You guys are in the gym, right?
We are.
Yeah,
We're in the gym,
nice.
but it's a nice gym. It's not like
Right.
what you would think of an old gym.
And there's no noise pollution. There's no bleed over.
It's completely quiet in there. We have a TV for a video curriculum. Chase and Brenda led for the first time. Chase is one of our young adults, if you don't know.
Yep. And an ex-intern.
Yeah.
Just like Gabe's
He's an
intern
intern.
now.
Yep.
He's Christian studies over at
Yes,
William
going
Carey
to school
University.
for it. Yeah, and
That's
plays
right.
golf.
Yep.
So him and Brenda led, and it was great. We had 22 and 2 VIPs.
That's it,
and,
baby. Let's go.
Yeah, but at the environment, man, we have all the games and stuff that you could ask for.
Yep.
I mean, from hula hoops to jump ropes. And,
That's good, man.
It's one of those things where it's just been praying for it. And I just hear the Lord say, just be obedient. Just do your job.
That's it.
And I'll do mine. Just do your job. Well, there's a whole funny story
the
about
nightmare
that.
at Woodlawn?
Yeah, the nightmare at Woodlawn. Yeah, it's the nightmare at Woodlawn.
Never tell your wife to submit. Never tell your wife to just do her job.
Just do your job.
Those are 2 lessons for today.
And if you have a boat, if you want to test your marriage, get a boat. Get a boat.
Yeah. Tag team getting the boat on and off the trailer.
Yeah.
That is everything you need to
The
know about
boat
your marriage.
ramp will test everything that you know as a relationship. Trust me.
That's great.
Yeah, it was good.
All right, man. Moving into some current events. What is your take and your prediction on this Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight?
Bro, I'm glad you asked that.
I would love to know, because I got my feelings.
There's no way if they allowed this to go like a boxing match, Mike Tyson would kill Jake Paul.
Dead.
Yeah.
Dead.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's apples to oranges,
I agree.
man. I grew up, so I'm a lot older than you. I grew up watching Tyson. I was there watching live with a bunch of my military buddies the night he bit Holyfield's ear.
Now, I was live watching him in my living room with my daddy.
Yeah.
So my dad's a big boxing fan.
Okay.
And in the 90s,
Yep.
you know, I might only been 10, 11,
Yeah, but you
12.
still remember.
Oh, I was watching with my dad.
Yeah.
I watched those fights, man.
Yeah.
I watched Tyson before prison. I watched Tyson after prison. I watched him. That's the scariest man I've ever seen in the ring.
Oh, man, listen. And we had, I'm still a little frustrated about this years later. We had paid for this pay-per-view, went over to one of my buddies' house, Manny Cirillo, and we were watching this fight, man. And I was like, you know, Tyson wasn't ahead, but I don't think he was losing at the same time. You know, that's up for debate, but he's an animal.
Yes.
And still at almost 60 years old.
You watch his training videos?
Yes. He is on my TikTok.
I don't think,
No.
and I say this as a large human, I don't think there's a sum of money that you could give me to stand there and eat one of his punches.
So
I don't think there is.
I would have to find it, but back when I was in high school, I read somewhere.
Yeah.
And now this may be just a load of crap, who knows? But they said that
Who's
when
they? You know, they.
yeah, they.
They.
Experts said that when Mike Tyson hit you in the face with a full force punch, it was like taking a pillow and folding it up and letting a major leaguer swing a bat and hit you in the face.
I believe it.
Yeah.
You watch dudes in his career who have been knocked out by blocked punches,
Yes.
who had their gloves up and their own fist knocked them out.
Yes.
And this is what I truly believe. Jake Paul's not a small person.
No.
He's not small.
No.
If by some grace of God, he can shell up and protect himself for 3 rounds,
Yeah.
I think it'll go.
Yeah.
But if Mike catches him once in those first 3 rounds,
Yeah.
and it don't got to be a face shot, that dude will eat your
No.
ribs. That dude
No.
will, you watched him like I watched him. What did he do? He ate your body
Yep.
and then put an uppercut down the middle and put your chin through your forehead.
That hook, man.
Yep. He would hit your ribs, boom, boom, and then gone.
And he's so compact.
And he
in
doesn't,
his stance.
his angles are so hard to
Yes.
follow because he's so, for a big guy, he's so mobile. He doesn't throw from right in front of you. He's over here and then he's over there. And I don't care if he's 58. I don't care.
No.
I'm still watching him train in his little booty shorts. Like I'm still watching him hit the pads. Couldn't pay me.
Jake Paul, to me, struggled with Floyd Mayweather, who, and I may get some hate mail behind this, I personally don't think he was that good of a offensive boxer. He was a defensive guy who took shots. He let you come in, and he was more strategic. Great boxer. Not saying he wasn't a great boxer, but the difference is I saw Jake Paul struggle with him.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson's going to be the complete opposite.
And that was an exhibition fight. And Tyson's and Mayweather's a middleweight or welterweight.
Yes.
You watch Jake Paul fight these nobody boxers or these MMA fighters who are not, and they are such different sports.
Oh, 100%.
Such different sports. When you're an MMA fighter, you are hands, feet, takedowns, unfettered. It's like being a gladiator.
Yes.
You're trying to take somebody out by all means necessary. People don't understand how tactical and chess-like boxing is. You have the Floyd Mayweathers who are going to win on points, and they're not looking for the knockout.
Right. And that's what he did. He
They're
was great
so
at that.
good.
Yeah.
They're tacticians. Then you have the Tysons that are a bull in the china shop, and your face is painted red. And they're just going.
And that's what he said, though. He used to say, like, I'm trying to kill him.
Hell yeah. Well, there's a lot of things he used to say in his interviews that we can't say on this podcast. But he definitely got his message across about his feelings in the boxing ring. I don't see how, even at 58 years old, I don't see how you beat Mike Tyson, man. I don't see it.
But I've heard all these different, they're going to have, like, he's going to be able to wear a headpiece and all this. Like,
I've heard both sides of it, man. I've heard that the boxing commission wouldn't sanction a regular boxing match. I heard it's what I don't know, is all hearsay, right?
Right.
I heard Jake Paul and Tyson want it to be a sanctioned boxing match, but the gaming commission will not.
oh, okay.
So they're pushing for an exhibition match for liability reasons.
Right.
Whether you agree with it or not, you say, I'm putting this 58-year-old in the ring with this 20-something-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
There's liability there.
Oh, absolutely.
There's liability there. And if something were to go awfully wrong, whose butt's on the line?
Right, yeah.
The gaming commission.
Gaming commission, yeah.
So I get both sides of it. We'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. I don't know. I've heard that they're going to wear 16-ounce gloves and headgear. I've heard that it might be a regular boxing match. I've heard a lot of things.
Yeah, I have too. So
we'll see.
I'm hoping it shakes out to be a legit boxing match because it will be one worth watching for me.
And I love that it's on Netflix.
Yes.
It's not pay-per-view. I'm not going to have to pay $100 to watch this. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
I just want to see Tyson one more time.
One more time.
One more time, man.
Oh, I missed that. Hands down, I always tell people, like, had he stayed in had he never went to prison?
That's what changed him.
Yeah.
That's where he lost
telling how great he would have been.
And people forget, because it's easy. It's easy to forget. He came on the scene at 18.
Yes.
Looking and fighting like that.
Yes.
18.
As an
Imagine
animal.
if he didn't go to prison. Muscle maturity caught up. Because you're not a peak athlete at 18.
Absolutely not. You're still not done growing.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Dude, scary.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
Scary. Yeah. But I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to watch that. Yeah. Current events. What else? We're wrapping up here soon. We're probably, what are we, 50 minutes deep? Yeah, 50 minutes deep. What else?
Goes by pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Movies, sports, life. What do you got coming up?
Let's talk about your Cowboys for a minute, man.
I don't want to. I don't want to talk about my Cowboys.
Why are they not getting in the free agency market?
Tell me how every team in the NFC East got better in free agency but the Cowboys.
Yes.
Like we're relying on the draft that much?
Yeah.
What are we doing? We lose Tony Pollard and we're just like,
right.
every year I say this is our year because I'm a Cowboys fan. That's what we're supposed to say.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if I can say it this year.
course.
I don't know if I can say it this year. It's not our year. How do we lose Tony Pollard, not looking to anybody to take his place at running back and assume we're going to be okay?
You know, John's over there echoing a lot, but they lost a big puzzle piece too, didn't they?
Yeah, but then they picked up Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley, who couldn't do anything at the Giants because their line was trash, now went to the Eagles, who have one of the best O-lines in the NFL.
Yeah, but then didn't Kelsey, he retired, didn't he?
He did, yeah. It's their center. And I get it. That's
a huge piece now.
Yeah. But they're getting better through free agency.
They are, for sure.
And we're not.
For sure.
I know, John. For y'all that can't hear, he's just bragging about the Eagles. I know. Okay. My Cowboys are doing nothing.
Yeah.
We got the best defensive player in the league, and it doesn't matter. Micah
right.
Parsons.
Oh, he is legit.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Now, he's a scary man, though. He is a linebacker
Yep.
who gets put on the line in place, but also chases down wide receivers like a free safety.
Yep.
That's a scary man.
Yeah.
When you're that big, that strong to be on the line, and
yeah.
that fast to play in the secondary, but you're a linebacker.
Yeah.
He's a terrifying human.
Yeah, he is. He's legit, though. It takes a lot to do that.
Yep.
From coaching.
Yep.
Let me trust me. It takes a lot to be able to put your hand down in the ground on the NFL line and then back up and play in coverage.
Yep. And then my wife's heart broke the other day. Greatest defensive player, possibly in Rams history, retired. Aaron Donald.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Donald. Pro Bowl, 10 years. Defensive player of the year. I think 4. That's a loss, man.
Yeah.
That's just like Michael Parsons. How do you replace an Aaron Donald?
Yeah.
And it's funny because you watch as the years went on, his production dropped drastically, but it's because he was getting double and triple teamed on every single play, which opens up the line for somebody else.
Yep, of course.
So the production didn't stop as the team,
but it
just stopped his production because you got to put 2 on every time he's there.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald, 300 pounds with a 6-pack.
Yes.
Terrifying human.
It's like the combine the other day. You saw with these linemen, man, are running 4, 5 40s, man.
Yep.
Like, that's unheard of, man. 200-300 pounds and you running a 40 like that. It's like freaking nature.
You tracking our hometown boy in the combine? Jordan Jefferson?
No.
LSU? Navarre High School?
Yeah.
Put up the record for bench press. Killed it.
Oh, he did? Yes, I did see that.
Buddy.
I did see that.
Right at Navarre High School. Jordan Jefferson, LSU.
Yep.
Doing big things.
Yep.
It's amazing how this little corner of America has so much.
Oh, yeah.
Between Gulf
For
Breeze,
sure.
Navarre. I mean, you got Jeremy Reeves. You've got Michael Carter. You got Grady Kelly, who was up in Colorado State and just transferred to FSU. You got Jordan Jefferson over at LSU. We're not big schools.
Yeah.
It's little Navarre. It's little Gulf Breeze. And the talent that these programs pump out is insane.
Is our boy back home from San Francisco? Have you
Eric,
seen him? Yeah.
Eric, he comes and goes.
It doesn't.
He got signed to the practice squad summer contract, which is great.
Okay, good.
So he got picked up late in the season with the 49ers, made enough of an impact that they were like, man, we want to keep you over the summer.
Good.
So he's still with the 49ers, but I know he's home. His house is still getting built over in Gulf Breeze. He'll post stories of his pool or the construction. I'm like, oh, he must be home for a couple days.
I haven't messaged him in a while. I need to message him and check on him, man.
I think I talked to him 2 or 3 days ago,
Did
man.
you?
He's doing good. He's doing good.
Good.
Eric Harris, love you, man.
Yes, sir.
Great guy.
Yes, sir.
But a lot of talent.
Yeah,
A lot of talent around here, man.
And Pensacola, too, man.
Yeah.
The home of the great Emmett Smith.
That's right.
Still have Emmett's signed rookie card that one of my high school sweetheart came to his dad's shop and bought it in high school. It's still in a little hard plastic piece.
That's your retirement plan right there.
Right.
I had an autographed football signed by Dan Marino that I got for cleaning some millionaire's basement when I was in high school.
Nice.
And I was going to hold on to it until he died because it'd be worth more. Because I don't care about the Dolphins. I don't care about Dan Marino.
Yeah. Sorry, Brian.
Well, I gave it to Brian.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Well, sorry we don't care about the Dolphins. So I'm a Bucks fan. So
it was
the
legitimately
Dolphins
like, oh, I might get $1,000 for this someday.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing, man? Let me give it to somebody who bleeds for the Dolphins.
Right.
It's for his 40th. I gave it to him.
Might be.
There you go, bro.
He probably sleeps with it under his
Take it.
pillow. I love you, Brian.
It was better purposed with a Dolphins fan than it ever would have been.
Yes, of
it was
course.
sitting in a closet in a box at my house. I don't care about the Dolphins. Dan Marino didn't even win a Super Bowl. He's never going in the Hall of Fame.
No,
you know?
heck no.
Probably the greatest quarterback to not go to the Hall of Fame, and it's because he never won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It's tragic.
Yep. Not my problem.
Right.
Yeah, we got our rings. Go Cowboys.
Yep.
But that's it, man. You got anything else before we wrap this up?
No, man, I appreciate you having me on here,
This was
man.
fun.
It's been a blast.
It's fun.
I know I'm not Tyler.
Well,
Tyler,
I do want to be
blast.
clear. I stayed in this seat because this is the seat of permanence.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right.
That makes
so
sense.
This is the guest seat, which is why Tyler usually sits there. He's just a long-standing guest on my podcast.
That checks out. That makes sense.
So yeah. So this will always be my seat. Okay. We'll rotate this one.
All right. Yeah, I had to kick. Had to kick Tyler out and send him on vacation again. Not that I had anything to do with that, but send him on vacation again so I can join you again.
In all seriousness, Tyler, we love you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're all better for you. We're all better for you, man.
Alibi.
Glad you're here.
Tyler's great, man.
Yep.
I love Tyler.
Yep.
Been one of the most supportive people since I've come on here on staff. And
if anyone deserves to get away for a week with his bride, the amount of work that man puts in.
Yeah.
You deserve it, Tyler.
Yeah, I really, when he gets back, I really want to know, did he take a vacation? Or is he there working?
Bro, I've gotten like a text from him since he's been gone, and it has been about a goose.
Well, hey,
so it sounds like he's on vacation.
Well, I hope so, man. I hope he comes back rejuvenated.
Just one. Yeah, I think no kids, just him and his bride, unplugging. He deserves it. Yep. Yeah, power couple. Well, that's it, man. We love you guys. This week of The Current is episode 6, found where any of your podcasts are found, Spotify, Apple, the Google Play Store, and on YouTube. If you like to watch the podcast while you listen to it, just go to YouTube on the Momentum Church YouTube page. Everything else, The Current Podcast is its own thing because we want to make it the hardest thing in the world to find. So it's all different names in different places because why would we make it simple for anybody? But Adam, appreciate you being on, man.
Yeah, man.
Love
appreciate
you.
it. Yeah,
love you so much. Connor, John, appreciate you guys doing this every week.
Yeah.
And we will see you next week on The Current Podcast. See ya.